Hey everybody, welcome to Vinyl Fridays once again, the only vinyl review show where I attempt to film every episode in one sitting. I don't know if I can do this, but we'll find out. The last two videos I gave you some pretty esoteric, out there, genre-defying albums. So this time I'm going to give you something a little bit more simple, straightforward, easy to get into, and accessible. The album Painted Shut by Hopalong. This band is sort of an indie darling band. I guess I'd call them an indie rock band. Just a normal, simple vinyl release here. It's got a lyric sheet in it. God, I'm really barfy today. And I also have an edition with the incorrect track listing. The first printing of the album has an incorrect track listing. There's a note in here, like a printed version of a handwritten note about it inside of the album. But this is a very straightforward, easy to listen to rock band, and it's actually kind of interesting because this is a much more accessible release than their previous ones, at least in my opinion. Whereas their music used to be a lot more somber and emotional, this is a more fun, happy-go-lucky kind of album. But they have a very distinctive sound, this band. Like, the way that they tune their instruments and everything is not quite like any other band I've heard. They kind of remind me of Manchester Orchestra a little bit, which is one of my favorite bands. So if you know that band, you might be interested in this one. But the most distinctive element is the lead singer, because they have a woman singer, but she has this very odd kind of husky voice that can change tones and pitch on like a dime. Like, she does a lot of like growls, like a gruff kind of voice, almost like a grunge voice, but will switch between that and more clear, high-pitched singing, like on the fly between lines. Her voice is just kind of all over the place, and it's really fascinating to listen to. Like, I can't imitate it, or like, not just because it's a woman's voice, which I could actually do pretty fine most of the time, but it's just such an odd and distinct voice, and it sounds really cool, and gives like a lot of grit to certain lines, you know, where she can go from sounding pretty and melodic to just really gritty stuff, and that works well because a lot of her lyrics are kind of gritty. And they're all these, like, sort of personal life stories, it feels like. I mean, a lot of the lyrics are kind of indirect, and some of them I can't even really interpret what they're about, but they all seem to be, like, either stories from her life or just maybe even from novels or something. Like, it's each one sounds like it's about a thing, like an event or something that happened in the singer's life. So yeah, they've got a cool little like atmosphere where each song feels like it's trying to take you on a journey, sort of. And there's just some really amazing pop songs on here. Now, this thing is like pop rock, I should say. I mean, I guess it's just indie rock. I'm not good with defining genres. Like, to me, everything sounds like a thousand different things. But there's a few tracks on here that are like truly exceptional. The opening track, The Knock, which just has a really cool like just like kind of driving feel to it. Like, the riffs and drums have this great energy that keeps you just kind of pumped and nodding along to it, but in a way that is not quite like any other song that I could name. Then there's the track Waitress on here, which is like about, it seems to me that it's about she's working as a waitress, and someone comes in, like a party of women comes in, and she recognizes this girl, and obviously that girl recognizes her. And the subtext, that, as I understand it, is that this woman who's come in, her boyfriend or former boyfriend had cheated on her with the waitress, the singer, and that she like realizes that girl must recognize her from like a photograph that she found of them or something like that. That's what I'm getting out of it. It's not very direct, but just basically it's about being really uncomfortable as this woman won't leave. Like, she's there all night and she just wants her to leave so she can stop being so uncomfortable with the situation. That's the kind of stories. It's like just these odd moments in life that are kind of interesting in their own right, and I feel like the songs do a good job of capturing whatever the feel of the song is. You've got the track Texas Funeral, which has this kind of enormity to it. It ends in this really big, like, crushing riff that's super Manchester Orchestra like. It like almost sounds exactly like them from like the Mean Everything to Nothing album. But like, their songs kind of have a lot of evolution over the course of a track, which is something I really like in music in general. Just like starting off one way and then becoming something different. So some of these songs will start off really quiet and calm, and then they'll eventually explode in energy and get really fierce or aggressive later, or vice versa. But some of the best songs on this one are actually the more consistent tracks. Like, for instance, Powerful Man, which is this very sunny, fun track about her being out on the street and seeing a guy, like, hitting his kid and telling the kid, like, don't look at her, she's not going to help you. So then she tries to, like, get a teacher or something to, like alert someone, but they don't care. And that's the whole song. It's like, she sees this guy hitting her kid, and she's just, like, not okay with it, but then she can't do anything about it. But it's a really fun and sort of upbeat poppy song, even though it has that layer of, like, you know, like, obviously this situation is dramatic and dark, but the way that the situation plays out is kind of memorable and has this lasting impact on you. But really, the track that steals this whole album for me is the very last song, Sister Cities, which is just this incredible... I'll use the word driving again, because the riffs and the ways that the drums and guitars are played through the song, like, it's 5.5 minutes of non-stop energy. Like, it just has this constant, it starts off fast, it feels like, you know, like, fun and poppy throughout. It's got all these little change-ups to the instrumentation, but without ever losing the main driving rhythm. Like, the whole thing has that same rhythm all the way through, but there's other things happening on top of it and changing it up in small ways. Really vivid lyrics that I'm not entirely sure what they're about, but they're interesting and they're sung with a lot of passion. And the song kind of gets, like, into these really big emotional swells at the very end, where she starts screaming about, like, you know, how, like, her dog has to be put down, and she's saying, like, like, her dad saying, like, oh, honey, you know, I had to shoot that dog you loved so much, I know you had to do it. Oh, yeah, I know you had to shoot that dog I love so much. And it's great. It's just a really emotional, powerful build towards this big explosive moment with all these awesome guitar solos along the way, lots of noodling in the background, which I'm a fan of, but without ever losing this driving feel. So yeah, it's a really fucking cool, fun song. And, like, that song's like a 10 out of 10. The rest of the tracks, like the other ones I talked about, are all pretty good. And the other songs that I didn't talk about are okay. But Sister Cities is god tier. There is a song in the middle of the album called Happy to See Me, which is just boring. It's like a 5-minute acoustic song that totally kills the pacing of the album, and I recommend just skipping it. Like, I just took it off on my download, just because the whole album has such a, like, fun, upbeat, biting, rock and roll kind of feel to it. And then this song in the middle is just, like, no tension at all. It's like a really slow, really sparse, like, emotional ballad, but, like, it never picks up in energy. It's, like, all sparse, and it just, like, totally kills the pacing right in the middle of the album. And I don't even think it's that good of a song, like, on its own. So yeah, I'd skip that, but the rest of it's fun. If you like just, like, cool, fun indie rock music, but, like, with bite. Like, personally, I can't really stand indie rock that's kind of just like dancey or coy or something like that. Just, like, that doesn't have energy to it and passion. This has a lot of, like, raw adrenaline to it. Like, there's songs on here where the singer girl, like, is talking about, like, fist fighting people, you know, like, it's got a kind of, like, aggressive slant to it that I like from this kind of music. So that makes it feel different from, like, most other stuff in that genre, I guess. I really hope these vinyl reviews have made any sense. I feel like the way I talk about music is so esoteric that I don't know if anyone's really getting an impression of what it sounds like. But then again, if I'm talking about these at all, I own the vinyl, I obviously like it, and I recommend it. So if you're here for recommendations, just listen to everything I talk about on this show. And hopefully I can give you some context into why I enjoy it, and maybe you'll feel the same way. Anyway, that's it for this episode. I'll see you on the next one.